Okay, good morning everybody. We had some audio overhaul issues again. But I think we're good now. Give me 1 minute here to double check audio. Just make sure all the noise suppression stuff is running correctly. I think we're good. Okay, so today, Leica R's again. If you're tired of Leica R's, then sorry. They happen to be among my favorites, so. And let's see, we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 lenses, I think, today. The widest being this guy, one of my favorites again, the 19mm version 2 specifically, with the built-in filter wheel. Ooh, that's about to fall out. A little plug. There we go. That's better. Well, that's odd. This cap has been either worn out or modified. It just spins and spins. It's supposed to hit an end stop. Glass is in fantastic condition here. I turned off the autofocus on this camera. Oh no, it is on. But yeah, very good quality on the glass itself. The body is in very good shape. Almost no brassing on the mount. No dings. Usually you see this is all dinged up. Hey, good morning, Antonio. Focus is okay. Could be better. All right, let's get into it. Okay. And these get a special front ring because there's no filter threads. I have a 100mm macro that Dunlop, I think you mean Duclos, where the aperture ring stopped functioning when I sent it in, but here may be a little pin inside. There are pins that drive the iris inside, but it's very unlikely that those created an issue because there's two of them on either side, and for both of them to fail is extremely unlikely. It's more likely that the internal linkage has become disengaged, which is not uncommon with the macros, because it has to travel so far with the focus movement telescoping. So yeah, definitely send it in, but that's not uncommon at all. I should say that's not uncommon for the Leica Rs, it's not uncommon for our modifications. It has nothing to do with the modification, it's all about the lens itself. But yes, we will definitely take care of that. I must send you my 2 red zooms for service. All rings are a terrible state. What do you think of those original red lenses? I have them. I have all of them. If you're referring to the 18 to 50 and the 50 to 150, I think it was, I think they were a necessity in their time, but they weren't particularly well done. They were a rehousing commissioned by Red using Tamron glass performed by Cook Optics, so it's kind of a mess. But yes, we can service those. We can't get parts because Red doesn't offer them anymore. But if it's just a matter of the movements needing some TLC, then yeah, we could take care of that. See, this focus feels, like I said, okay, but not great. And this is one of the reasons why we specifically use our CNC machine Delrin gears. If I put pressure just on these 2 spots right here, it completely, where was it? Yeah, right here. The focus is completely stiff and very difficult to use. So if you're using gears that have set screws or grub screws, whatever you want to call them, and they're putting pressure on the lens, it's more likely to give you a much more uneven feel to the focus movement. So when we do ours and they're pressure fitted, the pressure is completely even all the way around the lens. music a little bit lower. The red primes are also Tamron. Yes, technically. Red, similar to Arri, both camera manufacturers. Red and Arri have never actually made a lens, ever. They commission other lens manufacturers to make lenses to their specifications. The spring in there is getting caught on something. Listen to that, ready? You hear it? The 300 is a very nice lens. That was also a rehousing. Or at least the early ones were. In fact, I still have some of the test pieces. Long story short, we did a lot of those rehousings for red. And the red ring on the original 300mm was painted basically out back in our old shop. And it was a nightmare painting the first batch because they were... it was a windy day and they just kept getting covered in debris, dust. So we have a lot of scrapped parts. That 300 is a fantastic lens. There's not a whole lot that can compete with it. It's pretty compact and light for what it is. It's well built. Yeah, I think that specifically of all of the red lenses is the solution that will last the longest. The primes are very outdated. They're Super 35 only, they're big and heavy. The zooms we discussed, but yeah, that 300mm, nothing else has really come close to that with that performance at that price. Let's see if we can't find that spring that's making all the noise. I don't know that I can correct it without diving deeper, but I'll certainly take a look. Where's my marker's gone. Oh, there it is. Just a little dry erase. Not a whole lot of grease, but that's not a bad thing. that's pretty dry. Almost entirely dry. And there's a little bit of grease right there, but we'll definitely make this feel better. Yeah, so Antonio, if you have the earlier version of the 300mm with the bright red ring at the front, then yes, we did those. The version 2 we did not do. Oh, I never changed. See, Antonio's always on top of it. Where is that? There we go. I gotta make a shortcut that's buried way deep. There, how's that? You do have the one with the red ring. That's the one. Oh, it's even worse now. Hear it? Oh, I could see the spring. I don't see what it's getting caught on, though. Alright, we'll try that once we get it all cleaned up. My power supply is making noise again. That's concerning. anybody see the new Mulan last night? I'm curious to know what people's opinions are of that release model. You know, letting people pay for an early access. Personally, I was happy to pay for it, especially a movie like that. With my two daughters, you know, me, my wife, and two kids going to see a movie at a theater would have cost way more than $30. So for me, this was a bargain. Hey, thank you, Mr. Singh Rajput. Do you know any movie that uses a Leica R? Ooh, good question. Thank you very much. Cheers to coffee on Mr. Rajput. Ooh, George, please share. You're in a similar boat as me, so I'm very curious to hear your opinion. Trying to condense. Maybe I should just have you on as a video guest. Alright, those are good. Let's get this guy cleaned up. Theaters only existed because they were the only means to an end for decades and decades. I see where this is going. I suspect your next paragraph is going to say something about how we all have 60-inch 4K TVs in our living rooms. It wasn't about the community experience back then. That was a happy accident. Okay. I mean, I definitely see that with fan films like Star Wars or, you know, the Marvel movies. But there's no, in my opinion, there's no community experience when you're going to see, you know, your average rom-com or something, you know, like any comedy film. There's no camaraderie. Okay. Time for some lubrication. Almost time for a new brush. Who was I asking? Oh, Adelson. There was something somebody just shared with me recently. Some TV series that was shot on Leica Rs, and I cannot remember. If I remember it, then I'll definitely drop that. Pros and cons wise of Leica R60 macro versus the Contax 60 macro. Nothing specific that comes to mind. Pure preference, I think. Neither of them are particularly better or worse than the others. So I guess my only pro or con would be, if you're building a set of primes, obviously pick the same brand just for consistency. But even within mixing those brands, let's say you had a whole set of Leica Rs and then you mixed in the Contax 60 macro, it's not going to be a huge difference. They both telescope, yeah. Or maybe the Contax might just be a bigger body. I don't remember. And I also don't remember the full magnification of those. I don't think either of them are 1:1. Maybe the Contax. I'd have to look it up in my database. Actually, I don't have that spec in my Leica database. Ooh, maybe I need to add that. One of these days I'll have it complete enough to share with everyone. But there's so many holes in it right now, I don't think it would be... it wouldn't be as helpful as I'd like it to be. Two to one. Okay, yeah. Ah, the AE is 1:1. Okay. Interesting. To continue George's thoughts here, so theaters are still an awesome experience, but that's just added value these days versus the only way you could see a film back in the day. Agreed entirely there. There's no way you can replicate my experience of screening IMAX Apollo 11 or new answer print. I think that's a typo. Empire of the Sun, I saw Egyptian. So, George, in summary, I think you and I are on the exact same page. I do still want the theater experience for fan films, we'll say, or for epics, IMAX stuff, or a new answer print struck from. Okay. Yeah, so for IMAX stuff or like proper 70mm projection, that's different. I think that's an argument for theaters to stay open. But I do believe they will struggle to recover from all of this. I don't think it'll ever be the same. I saw Lawrence of Arabia in cinema, 70mm projection. Yeah. See, that's the kind of stuff I'm talking about. I also think it's funny. I was one of the early adopters of, I can't even remember what it's called now. Movie Pass? Is that what it was called? That program that let you go to participating theaters. I jumped on board back when it was pretty much free reign. You paid your fee and you could go see pretty much any movie. And the fact that there's a very nice movie theater halfway between my home and my office, I would leave work and stop at the theater and just pick something and watch it that day, at least 2 or 3 times a week. And then they started changing all the policies. You can only pick certain movies, and you can only pick them certain days. And I think that, I don't know if Movie Pass is even still around, but if they are, I think that might be the solution for movie theaters moving forward. Yeah, Philip, when it was early on, it was unbelievable. I struggled to understand how they could do what they were doing, which apparently was an issue. They couldn't stay in business, but I don't know if they're still around, but I think that is the future. Giving people open access to every film that's currently screening and letting people just pick. That was a fantastic experience. And to boot, it was right at the time that that the Movie Pass, when they were completely open, it coincided with my local theater. It's a oh my gosh, I can't even remember because I haven't been there in so long now. Oh my god, what brand is it? What line? Winnetka. It's the Winnetka Theater. That's what everyone calls it, but I forget. Anyways, it's not AMC. It's the other big one. But right around when Movie Pass Pacific. Thank you. Yeah, so that's down the street from my office, and right around the time that Movie Pass became a thing, that theater, the Winnetka Theater, added the first emissive display in the country. And for anybody that doesn't know what that is, it means that it was not a projector. It was a giant LED screen. Proper 4K HDR from an LED wall the size of a theater screen. It was the first one in the country. It was done by Sony, I believe. It was called their Onyx screen, which wasn't just the screen. Onyx was their whole experience. It included their super high-end audio. And, it was amazing. Every film that I saw on that screen was a dramatic difference. Samsung, thank you, Phil. Hey, welcome, Phil. Yeah, Sony has a competing one, which I saw at their office in wherever they are, Sun Valley. But yeah, the Samsung Onyx is the technology. Thank you, Phil. So if anyone has, I don't I don't know if there's any other theaters that have it yet, but if you have the opportunity, definitely check out the Pacific Winnetka Onyx screen. I forget, it's been so long since I've been to a theater. I think it's screen 9, if I'm not mistaken. Yeah, DMPC, exactly. And the one they have at the DMPC is nice, but it's still small compared to the one at the Pacific Winnetka, which is a full-size screen. 100 and something feet, I can't remember. We had an ASC preview when they were first launching it, and they had the guys there from Samsung telling us all about the technology. Everything about it is superior. The only downside is if you get close enough, you can't. I mean, if you have a front row seat, you kind of lose the benefits because you can see the gap between LEDs. But if you're right in the middle, I mean, it is phenomenal. They did it with losing money just for getting more people and sell the bigger companies. It's a good YouTube video about. What are you talking about, Max? The Samsung thing? Or Pacific Winnetka? You see the sound perforations. Well, so yeah, that's another thing that on that Onyx screen, they were very specific about the speakers being integrated into the screen. So they're just behind the LED screen. So you get proper sound as well. I watched your stream on the Vazen lens the other day. I wonder if that gets to Vazen. It did get to Vazen. Somebody shared it in the Vazen Facebook group and they weren't happy. There was the Vazen fanboys came out of the woodworks like, oh, he doesn't like it. He doesn't get the purpose of the Vazen lens. And believe me, I am all for a good value in a lens. I've been supporting Rokinon for years. But there's a tipping point where that value becomes a hindrance. Spring. There it is again. Samsung's Pixel Pitch was designed for 4K in theaters of that scale. Sony was designed for 8K. Ooh, with their Pixel, both are scalable to 16K as they use panels. Oh man, I would be floored to see an 8K screen. But see, that's the thing with the Samsung, you can make it whatever you want if your screen is large enough. But I want it to be. I don't care what the resolution is as long as I can't see any gaps in the pixels at a reasonable size screen. I was talking about the movie pass. Ah, yeah. I want to test the Zine CF. Well, if you've ever tried any Rokinon lens, they're exactly the same. Optically. Mechanically, the Zine CF are great. Again, I'm blown away by the mechanical quality and the consistency that they get at that price. I actually saw Joker as a 35mm print. Even though it was shot digitally, it was an amazing experience. Felt extremely analogous. Is that the Draft House? A tiny audience too. Yeah, that would be a fantastic one to see. I genuinely enjoyed what Lawrence Sher did for the cinematography on Joker. So many subtle nuances. I saw Joker twice, actually. The first one was a DGA screening Or no, what was it? Yeah, it was DGA. Maybe it was for the ASC. I can't remember. In the DGA building, that's what it was. And then again at Pacific Winnetka. Yeah, this spring is going to be a problem. That's terrible. I'm not sure what it's getting caught on. Oh, let's get this out of the way. So there's the spring. Let's see if it'll show up. When I say spring, it's not your traditional spring. It's a wire spring, this piece here. I don't know if you can see it. That's technically a spring. That's what's keeping tension on the iris, which is necessary. There, now you can see it. This piece here, that is one giant spring. Any tips for finding a consistent set of Leica Rs? I'm thinking of selling my Mamiya Secor Cs since the focal lengths are tight. Yeah, you're using medium format lenses on a crop sensor like that. What do you mean by consistent? Are you talking about color and character, or are you talking about the quality of the lens overall, Andrew? Can't see what it's hitting. I might have to just take this apart more. I can't, although it has nothing to do with the mod, I can't justify giving that back to a client with that terrible sound. Got a lot of shims. Ah, now I can see it clearly. So for any of you that undertake your own mods and you're curious, this is the problem. See this spring here? It gets caught on the inside diameter of that shelf, and then it forces itself underneath. So very simple adjustment. We just rotate the holder for it. Problem solved. Now it doesn't touch that shelf at all. It still bends way up, which I'm curious why. I guess we could do both sides of it. There we go. Oh, much better. Doesn't grab at all. Let's get these little guys back here. There's your Bob Ross moment. There's a happy little spring. Yeah, no snagging at all now. I was looking for a consistent color lens to lens, but also mechanics. There is no way to get consistent color because while Leica did produce these within a certain standard, they didn't really care about color consistency back in the 80s, 90s. It just didn't really matter for still photography. So they'll be close enough within within reason. But like I tell most people, you're better off looking for consistencies in the condition of the lens. That will give you an idea of how well it was kept over time. So in terms of manufacturing, you won't see a lot of differences, but in terms of maintenance or how it was cared for, you will see a difference in the color. If a lens was maybe left out in the sun a lot, or wasn't cared for well, or sat in a smoker's home without the caps on, it could definitely be more yellow than a lens that was cared for well. Never got a chance to throw one on your projector. What is that? Oh, Matt, since you were talking about the lenses that have good value, how do you feel about projection anamorphic lenses used for filming? I refer to those as sort of the DIY solution. If you're talking about the practice of grabbing a taking lens and throwing one of the anamorphic projection lenses on the front of it, then yes, I think it's very cool. I think people are very clever in the way they go about making those sort of combinations. But from my perspective, there's not much that we could do. They're very DIY. Personally, I'm not a fan, but I think that's because I'm spoiled with proper anamorphics. If I was doing it strictly as a hobby for fun, I would definitely be among that DIY crowd. But if I was a working cinematographer and my job and my AC's job depended on getting a shot, I would not be using the DIY stuff. Thank you, Jay. Yeah, exactly, Philip. That's why I say if it was just me and it was a personal project, absolutely. I think they're fantastic. The process of mixing and matching and pairing and adjusting, I am all for that. It's very cool results. But on set, yeah, no way. Happened. Let's see here. I know why. Okay. I must say this is a very fun community. Thank you. I agree. Any community of lens geeks is a fun community. Yeah, Philip, that was, I've mentioned it a couple times in previous streams, but that was why I started doing this, because on my normal daily routine, you know, I'd have clients coming in and out, and I'd be sitting in the other office chatting with them and seeing what lenses they need and what we could do for them, etc., etc. And when we went on the first lockdown here in LA, I kept getting, you know, really cool lenses in from mods, and I would be like, oh, guys, check this. Oh, nobody's here. Bummer. So I figured I'd just start streaming and showing all of you everything I'm doing. So yeah, it's been a huge benefit to sort of keep my sanity while doing mods. Otherwise, it's just me and my jazz music. Love that lens. It made me change my whole set from 80s set to 90s. Yeah. Oh, the V1, Mr. Bannister post. The V1 and the V2. A lot of people ask, like, the different 50s or the 28 version 1 and 2. And those are all sort of interchangeable. But when it comes to the 19, there's no contest. The version 2 is better in every way. Just want to make sure this isn't slipping, but it looks like it's good. I just lost the red dot. Went flying off the lens. I have no idea where it went. Wow, that's okay. I have spares somewhere. It should be super visible, but it's just gone. It's so weird. Oh well, I'll grab a spare. Elias. Hey Matt. Hi Matt, do you have any recs for courses, apprentice opportunities, etc. for learning more about optics and being a lens technician? The only classes I've seen are the ARRI lens tech courses. Yes and no. There's no textbook, so to speak, for being a lens technician. I do recommend studying physics in general, especially as it pertains to light and electromagnetics. Because that's all optics is physics. But as far as learning how to service and modify a lens, it's all experience or, like you mentioned, an apprenticeship, which we do here, but that position is usually filled. It is filled right now. And there's only one position that is we call it the junior lens tech. So yeah, you could definitely, I think the best place to start would be at a rental house, learning, as a prep tech underneath a proper lens technician. But I will say one of the biggest things that I see is people that jump into being a lens tech, and after 6 months they consider themselves a full-blown technician, and it takes a long time to learn how to do this stuff properly. There is no fast track, so you could definitely tinker. You could definitely be a hobbyist tinkerer, but to be what I consider a full-blown lens technician, you need, at least a couple years. Current lens sticker? No, it's accurate. This is the 19mm version 2. 28V2 is amazing. Yeah, it is. The 15 is a very cool lens, but it's definitely a specialty lens. Can't do anything with the front of it. You got to keep your matte box super wide. No textbook, you say? Maybe there's a space to be filled. There's no way. I'm never going to make a lens technician textbook because there's so many different techniques, and every technician has their own way of doing things. That's one of the things I miss the most. We will receive formal training from lens manufacturers like Ingenue or Cook or Sigma, and they don't like doing it 20 times over. They like to gather all the lens technicians. So for example, in Los Angeles, they'll pick a rental house, or they'll pick someone like Duclos. We've hosted many lens manufacturers. And they'll reach out to all the lens technicians in town and say, hey, we're doing training. It's at this rental house, or it's at this place. Send whoever you want. And they'll usually let one, maybe two technicians come. And of course, we gain a lot of knowledge and techniques from the manufacturer that is hosting the service training. It's required to be quote-unquote authorized for certain lenses. But what we find even more valuable is exchanging tips and techniques and tools with our fellow lens technicians. That to me is fantastic. We all know each other. We're all friendly. All the technicians at every rental house. You've got the OG technicians like my father, like Dan Lopez at Otto Nemens, Dan Sasaki at Panavision, Brett and Freddie, formerly of Panavision, now at Keslow. We all know each other. We're all friendly. There's no there's no competition, so to speak, between lens technicians. So that, I think, is almost as valuable, if not more valuable, than taking a proper course with a manufacturer. So, to answer your question, experience. That's my best advice. Don't try to skip to, you know, being a full-blown lens technician after 6 months. Okay. But as far as books go, Elias, you're not likely to find current lens manuals online. You could probably find some vintage ones, but I would say focus on the physics books more than service manuals. I saw Tenet this week at 70mm. How did you see that, Patrick? Where is that showing? Do you have any info about the lenses for IMAX use? It depends. They use Hasselblads and custom lenses by Sasaki. The Hasselblads, we see those come through fairly regularly from like iWorks, IMAX, those guys that have the big rehoused stuff. I still don't like the feel of this. Okay. Tirana. Did I lose the music? Can you guys hear the music hall? Maybe it's just super low. I can't hear it on my end. Okay, good. It feels better. I wonder if those screws were just distorting it. Maybe I tightened them unevenly. That's pretty good. Okay. feels very good. The end stops are not good, but something that we will see from time to time is this light baffle that people will sometimes just leave out if they do their own mods, or sometimes they break it and they just forget about it. Not only does it block light from getting in, but it also serves as part of the iris stop. So it'll prevent it from going past. You see here it goes past the 2.8 and past 22. That little plastic baffle acts as somewhat of a stop. So that should be good. Alright, still feels good even when it's tightened, so we're good to go. Okay, moving on. D-click is good. Might as well do the mount. Oh, let's get those parts back in. Speaking of forgetting. Very nice. Okay. Were you able to get my 21mm near 100% working? I don't know. That was not me that did that specific one, Antonio. But I'm certain that if there was an issue, the technician would have told me. I'm gonna fiddle with my audio again. Now it's getting a ton of ambient noise. There. How about that now? We'll see if that works better. Okay. It perpetually has a bit of an echo because there's no insulation, and the ceilings in here are very high. I also need to fiddle with the EQ a little bit. Did you check F1 today? Yes, I saw Hamilton broke the record. Wait, was it Hamilton or Bottas that got... Oh no, it was... I don't remember. All I remember is that Verstappen's in like 4th or something, or 5th. Hamilton, okay. I am glad to see Carlos Sainz did really well. I like him a lot. If Red Bull is my primary team, then McLaren is my B team. Let's see if we can't adjust this one more time. Whoops. That's not going to be good. There, I think that should be okay for the audio. It's a little bit less echoey. Ah, there we go. I think. It's got a good crossover now. I'm a fan of Eric Satie music. I don't know who that is. My go-to playlist while I'm working is Keith Jarrett, but I can't play that on the stream because I get dinged for copyright. I learned that the first day I did the mod stream. Practically the whole, I got like 20 notifications from YouTube, you know, infraction after infraction. I thought I was going to be in deep trouble. So now it's just a playlist of licensed music from random artists. I don't know who any of these people are. Oh, let me switch it back real quick here. There. That was what it was. That was where the microphone was at before I changed the EQ. I think that sounds better. I'm very indecisive as far as audio goes. Let's do that in a minute. This wrench does not want to fit. It's a bad wrench. Those are like the cheapest possible wrenches. Much better. He's a French composer, same style piano work. I will definitely look into him. So it's not Eric Satie, it's Satie. Just like it's not Duclos. It's Duclos. But nobody says it that way, so Duclos is fine. This is the wrong size wrench. So back on the topic of the future of cinemas, the couple films that keep coming up, you know, like I mentioned, the kids stuff makes perfect sense. So for like my wife and I to bring our 2 daughters to a movie, we could easily get up to almost $100 between the tickets, the snacks, the drinks, everything. So paying $30 for Mulan made complete sense for us. I didn't actually like the film, but whatever. But for a movie like, there's 2 movies that are coming up that my wife and I debate a lot about. The new Top Gun and the new James Bond. So movies like that, again, I would prefer to see them in a theater for the massive screen and huge booming audio. And generally that would mean getting a babysitter and going out. Just my wife and I. We're not going to take the girls to see James Bond. So, paying $30 some odd to see that at home is going to be comparable price-wise. But I think that the option of your home theater being the new cinema is going to be so drastically different person to person based on your home theater setup. So if you're happy with your home theater setup and it's you know, it does a film justice, obviously you'll be on board. If you don't have a TV at home or you don't have the correct Disney or Sony or whatever subscription, then you're not going to enjoy it. And you're going to want to go to a theater. So it will vary person to person, but I would gladly pay somewhere between $20 and $30 to see a major motion picture premiere at home. Okay, 19mm version 2 is done. Let's set this one over here. Okay. The other thing I think I need to fix is the position of the microphone. It needs to be closer, but I gotta keep it out of frame. I think that's probably the best right there. What's next? I think it's 28. So this has already been modified. Partially. Somebody removed the front hood and installed a light tax mount. Where's my... '28 version 2. Ooh, very loose aperture. The whole lens is kind of loose, actually. Okay. But this is always interesting to see someone else's work with a Litax mount. No thread locker. It's not a bad thing, it's just more secure with thread locker. So far, so good. Probably best right there. I can also scoop. I can't get any closer because the arms on my chair are in the way. Oh, there we go. I feel super low now. I guess that works. Oh, that's gonna bother me now. That is way too low. All right, good enough. Okay. So this looks like can't tell if this has been re-greased or not. All of this looks original, but there's some very liquidy substance there. It does not look original. Okay. Most of this does look original. Yeah, this is much more dry, which is what I expect. Cinema soldiers. Thank you very much. Cinema Soldiers, that's your John, right? I'm trying to remember if that's your handle. Or no, am I mixing you up with someone else? Yes, okay. So Cinema Soldiers and Salami Films is one and the same. Good, good. Time for another wash on this mat. I just scrubbed it last weekend. Okay. This is in overall pretty good shape, but it has a lot of sand or some kind of grit. Yes. Certain exposures. F1 fan here. Red Bull all the way. That might have been the end of the playlist. Nope, still going. I think that's why Red Bull didn't do so well. No party modes. Yeah, it's true. Hamilton's a beast. McLaren, you mean Mercedes? I am excited for Carlos Sainz to go to Ferrari next year. Oh, did not want to get grease on that part. Pause. Pause. I couldn't tell you. I am sure that they were very embarrassed today on their famous Temple of Speed and not doing so well. It's especially embarrassing with that famous Enzo quote that aerodynamics are for those that can't build fast engines, or whatever the quote is. That's got to be particularly difficult for them to justify after today. I don't think Alpha's doing very good. McLaren definitely stole the show today. I don't know who Kubica is. Alpha is Giovinazzi, and I can't remember the other guy's name right now. Help me, Antonio. you'll know. Who's the other alpha driver? Raikkonen, thank you. How could I forget Kimi? I saw the specially announced for the Komodo. Owners for those two zooms. Can you tell us a bit more about those two lenses? The Fuji MK is the lenses you're referring to. We're doing an R mount conversion, RF mount conversion, that will make them ideal on Komodo, in my opinion. They'll be the lightest, most high quality Super 35 zooms you can get for that format. They will indeed have a light fall off in the corners at 18 through 20 millimeters, and then if you stop down it will turn into a sort of a hard clip depending on the frame you're shooting at. So if you're at 6K full, you'll notice it more than other formats. I think at 6K widescreen it was gone completely. But other than that, they are an ideal choice for Komodo, in my opinion. Every other zoom out there is designed for a reflex style mount like Canon EF or PL or whatever, which adds a ton of weight, and when you use an adapter, depending on the adapter, you introduce a ton of play. I think the only adapter I've seen that I really like is the Vocus, VOCAS. There's mounts, I mean obviously it goes into the RF mount, but it has a support that goes into the body of the camera as well. So it's very rigid So if you are using PL mount lenses, that's the way to go, in my opinion. What else to say about those? Not a whole lot. We just got the parts back for it. This is one of the green rings. I kind of wish it was a little bit deeper green. This is kind of like a yellowy. It doesn't show up great on camera here. It's not. I don't know what your guys' monitors or screens look like, but on camera it's more yellow than it is in real life. But yeah, that's. I don't have the mount here. The mounts are being painted right now. So they all get this anti-reflective. This one's a pre-production. That's just why it's so shiny, so reflective. But yeah, they'll all get this optically flat finish. And yeah, it's a pretty clever solution if I do say so. That mount. This is not our normal cap. This was sent in with the lens by the client. Oh, I needed to... Wow. Okay, I gotta go way back now. Completely forgot about that. In this particular lens, the gear has to be installed before the mount and the iris ring. Just spent all my cash on this ice. Those Zeiss lenses will work very well, Antonio. I wouldn't worry about the zooms unless you need a zoom. That's actually one of the downsides to using a mirrorless lens, is you can only use it on a mirrorless body, whereas those Zeisses that you have, you can use them on pretty much any camera. Sony, Red, Arri, anything. Okay, that's much better. How many of you guys either have or plan on getting a Komodo? Curious to know what sort of market share that has. Ooh, selling your Gemini for one. See, I have a Gemini. It's for the most part a test platform here, but I would almost prefer a Komodo. Got mine a few weeks ago. Is that Jay? Is that a stormtrooper? Nice. Does anybody, I don't know if Phil is still here. If you are Phil, you might know more than others, but when are they actually supposed to start shipping the regular black models? I wanted to mount on an FPV frame. Oh, is that like a, you talking about like a drone? Yeah, okay. Oh man, that's gotta be, I can't, the difference between rigging required for drone work between a Gemini and a Komodo, it's no comparison. Selling my first screenplay to a studio here, so Blackmagic. Nice. Smaller can run off the lips. Off the lips? Mighty Jacks, hey. I am well, thank you. Ah, okay. Yeah, Komodo is, it's very tempting. I think my my fun money is going to be tapped. I don't know if anybody else here is a Fuji shooter for stills or for Cine with the X-T4, but they just announced their new, what is it, a 55, I think, F1. F1. Let that sink in. I believe that will be the fastest fastest autofocus still lens ever made. I might be wrong. The only other ones I could think of are like the Canon L series, like the 1.2s, or Panasonic had, oh, what was that Panasonic? It's a Panasonic Leica. Maybe that was faster. I can't remember. Let's do some digging. I did not decide on an ASMR episode. My stream schedule is all over the place. I did that quickie Phase-in review. Canon has they have an f1, or is it a 1.2? Let's... Sorry, I hit my mute button. I just found that f1. I don't know why I've never seen this before. I know I've seen the L series, the f1.2 version. This looks kind of old though. This looks like, well, maybe not. It's got that chunky rear like the 85 f1.2. But anyways, that new Fuji, oh, let's see if that comes up. Is that Fuji Non? Oh man, I have to get this lens. I feel like I don't have a choice. Let's see if I can bring this up here. There we go. I mean, look at that. I've had their 56 f1.2 for years, and it's okay. It's, you know, it's nice, but the one, I like that.
Fujifilm X-F 50mm 1.0 hat für mich die schönste Unschärfe, die ich bis jetzt gesehen habe. Ich kenne kein zweites Objektiv im APS-C und Vollformatsegment, das eine vergleichbar angenehme und cremige Unschärfe produziert.
That's impressively sharp for an f1 lens.
成像效果呢非常的锐，这一点在我的意料之外。当我使用小光圈的参数来进行拍摄的时候，那整体画面的质量呢也是非常的锐利啊，成像是好的。
I mean, so anybody that's been watching or following me for a while knows that my go-to lens is the 35mm Minicon f.95, which is phenomenal on the Fuji, but it's not technically good. It's a very artistic lens, we'll say. Oh, there's a good idea of the size. What camera is that? That's an X Pro 3. Those are not shot wide open. I need to see. Oh, maybe that is. Oh, look at that bokeh. Oh, perfect spheres. Alright, I need this lens. It's happening. Sorry, wife. It's a chunk of a lens, though. Look at that. It's not small. That's the difference. My Midicon, it's a heavy little piece of glass, but it's probably almost half the size of what this is looking like.
From beginning to the end, fully with this lens.
The 50mm f1 is the most extreme autofocus lens that I know. How you use your foreground, how you use your background, where you put
Okay, yeah, I need to get this.
you're up to it.
See, there's, for all you video guys, anybody that shoots video on like a XT4, that focus tracking, that's impressive. Oh, maybe not at the very beginning. It has a bit of hunting. Yeah, yeah, that's kind of a killer. It can't hunt like that. It's useless. Great for stills, don't get me wrong, but for video, it can't hunt. Oh my god, that's a beefy lens. Look at that. I mean, if you're familiar with X-mount, you know how small that is. Oof. Yeah, it's not too big. There it is on an X Pro 3, which is what I have an X Pro 2, but same exact body size. There you go. I could live with that. Alright, that's enough lusting for one morning. Oh, does it say when it's supposed to ship? Because I think it's not shipping yet. Fall 2020. Okay. That gives me time to plan. Did you get a chance to see GFX 100 teardown after the underwater housing failed? Oh, the lens rentals thing? I saw the articles. I did not watch the video yet. But I love everything that Roger does. He's a fantastic resource, a fellow lens geek. One rare lens besides the Leica R is the Iskorama 1.5x anamorphic. Ever had one or used one? Which one are you talking about? The, I can't remember what it's called. You're talking about the one that comes with a taking lens attached, the little plastic lens? I don't know why I'm forgetting what it's called. It's an ISCO something or other. The 36? Yeah, that's the one, right? It's got a tapered plastic front housing. The focus ring itself is tapered, which is a huge hassle. We get people that ask us all the time to put a focus gear on it. But because it's tapered, there's absolutely no way to install that. It'll just fall off to the back. All right. Oh, I think my blower's done charging here. If any of you guys have seen this on Amazon, it is pretty handy. It's just a tiny little turbine and it's got a lithium-ion battery. So if you don't have a dedicated airlines with filtration, which was what we would use here, I don't have one at this bench, but at my normal bench there's heavily filtered air. And if you don't want to use cans of air, this little thing works really well. It's cheap on Amazon. Oh, links. I'll drop a link here for you guys. I think they sell it under a couple different brands, but it's handy to have. Okay, next lens. I understand that the 35 is equal to a 22 on full frame, but when shooting on Super 35, I'd like a wider lens as well. I'm not sure what you're saying there, Jacob. Oh, I didn't see your previous, so I'm looking at putting together a set of Mamiya Secor C 35, 45, 55, 80. Is there another Mamiya lens from another set that would work well for wider than 35? It's not equal to a 22 on full frame. It's still going to give you a 35mm angle of view on full frame. But no, there's a 24, but it's not great for cinema work because it's I think it's a fisheye, and the front housing is different than the rest of the Mamiyas. I would just mix in something similar, maybe. That's a good question. Similar to the Mamiyas. Probably a Nikon AIS, or newer maybe even. So I don't have to change the title because this is, well no, it does say V2. This is a V1. So we'll just leave it 2828. Yeah, you might, Jacob, you might be, you definitely need to do some testing, but the AIS I think is going to be similar enough to get away with it. Hey, it's missing a screw. What's going on? I'll have to do some tests. I know I have some AIS lenses here and Mamiyas, but I think that's going to be your best bet as far as matching goes. Oops, didn't get those out. Oh, I did that backwards. It's almost coffee time again. What is this stuck on? Just grimy, I guess. Oh yeah. Wow. Somebody attempted to grease this with something that isn't lens grease. Some kind of like graphite or molybdenum. This greenish yellow grease here is original, but this is not. Yeah, that's some weird stuff. Jacob, you're on the right track. The Mamiyas are definitely becoming more popular, so snag them now while you can. I suspect those will start to go up in price. Where to find them? eBay. You could look on eBay. You have to be very careful buying lenses on eBay. Either buy them from a reputable seller or someone that has a very clear return policy that's accommodating. Or check websites like KEH.com. They have a very reliable rating system, and they stand behind their products. I feel like I've mentioned them every stream. I do not work for KEH. I have no affiliation with them. But we've bought lenses from them before. We've had customers buy a lot of lenses from them. Anytime there has been an issue, or if something wasn't accurate to the listing, KEH has stood behind it and either fixed it or replaced it or refunded it right away. I've never heard of someone being dissatisfied with KEH.com. And then of course you have Lens Finder, which obviously for people that know the history of Lens Finder and Lens Rescue, I was and am involved in. So that's always a decent resource, but you're still buying from individuals, just like on eBay. So you still have to be careful. Have you by chance tested any of the other Mamiya lenses? Are any of them viable? You mean like non-Secor lenses? I have tested some of their other medium format stuff, but not for cinema purposes. The other ones won't work as well because most of them will have the integrated shutter or they're super slow. None of them are going to be as good as the Secor Cs. And when I say none of them will be as good as the Sikorsky's, I'm not referring to image quality or performance. I'm mostly referring to usability. Heard about Hasselblad lenses as well. Hasselblads are the same issue as most medium format lenses in that they have the integrated shutter that you can't control manually. It's controlled. Some of them are controlled by the camera, so they don't work well for cinema. What do you recommend for zoom contacts, Zeiss? I don't like any of the Zeiss contacts zooms personally. There's a lot of drawbacks to using the zooms for cinema. The 28 to 80, I can't remember which one's which. There's one that there was like a very popular but unofficial EF conversion back in the 90s or something. We see a lot of those come through, and we'll still modify them, but they just don't work as well as the primes do. The only zooms that I've ever enjoyed shooting with, as far as still lenses being used for cinema, would be the Nikon AFS. I can't remember what the model is, but it's the 17 to 35, the 28 to 70, and the 80 to 200. I mean, for documentary stuff, that trio is perfect. You can't go wrong. 17 to 35, 28 to 70, and 80 to 200. They're fully manual. They can be fully modified. The only drawback is that the focus is backwards because they're Nikon. And those will intercut perfectly fine with Zeiss contacts, in my opinion. Can't stop thinking about that Fujinon Prime now. I must have it. I think I have almost all of the Fuji X prime lenses. But I have the 55 to 200, but I would never use it. I don't really use any of the other zooms. The new one? No. Oh, you're talking about the Fuji? Yes, I must have the new Fuji. Sounds like there's a dentist in the building. Why did Nikon make the lenses focus the opposite direction? It was Nikon against the world. I have no idea. I don't know if Nikon even knows. I think they just decided on a direction one day and then stuck with it. I couldn't tell you. I don't think there's any benefit. Maybe Nikon thinks there is. Sounds like somebody's on the bandsaw. It is an odd sound. I have no idea what material they're cutting. Let's do a quick roll call where everybody's watching from, country or city. Antonio still in Mozambique. Did I get it right this time? Redlands, oh cool. Atlanta, GA, nice. How hot is it in Atlanta right now? Can't be as hot as it is here in LA. Always hot here. We're supposed to have, I think, 109 today here in the valley. Where's my phone? Hey Siri, what's the high temperature today? Don't fail me, Siri. She's thinking about it. What? 111 today. In LA, in the valley, in Chatsworth. You want to trade, Jacob? 87 for 111 here in Chatsworth. VA, Virginia? Moved from LA to Atlanta a year ago. I missed the weather. Yeah, I'll take our 111 temperature because there's no humidity. I do not do humidity. I've been to Atlanta a couple times. Most recently for Cine Gear Atlanta, and I don't like it as far as weather goes. What did Siri say the weather is in Mozambique? Oh, Mumbai, nice. Damn it, now I want Indian food. It's gonna be my dinner tonight. Where can I find tools like that? Like these? I'm glad you asked. Thanks to the regulars here. The plug. Oh, I need to get rid of the special engraving before I share that. We do sell the grease. Yeah, well, I don't call it helicoid grease. You could use it for the helicoid, but that'll vary dramatically based on the lens. I generally recommend it for the aperture movement, surface to surface, not so much for threads. But yes, we sell that also. Sorry, I keep hitting the mute button. I assigned it to a extra button on my mouse, and I bump it periodically. What I was saying was I'm terrible at promoting and plugging. Obviously, I do it muted. But yeah, do subscribe. Do feel free to use the super chat, the tips, if you find value in the recommendations I'm giving. And there, oh, that's not the right link. That's a long link. Did that work? It did, okay. Uh-oh. Marcin message retracted. What did you say? I'm surprised it doesn't show me what you said. It just says redacted. I can't, or retracted. I can't even see it. Unless you go to Little India, I forget the name. Been 10 years since I was in LA. There's a lot of Indian restaurants in the valley. A couple that I favor. But I've never had, obviously I've never been to India, so I don't know, I can't say how authentic it is. But it's definitely enjoyable. My wife and I are huge Indian food lovers. Is it still muted? No. You guys can hear me now, right? Okay, good. Okay. I will have to look up Little India. I don't know where that is here in LA. Now that I think about it, my wife and I love pretty much any food that isn't American food. We definitely go out of our way for Indian food, for Korean barbecue, sushi. Italian, obviously. My wife's Italian, so that's a must. Shout out to my sister-in-law who is currently in Sicily. For Indian food, I mean it's restaurant food. We surely don't cook as spicy at home. Okay. Were mustard packets grease just a promo item for like any? The mustard packets. Wow, Philip, good memory. Those were an April Fool's joke from like 3 years ago. Last year's April Fool's joke was cinematographer trading cards, which I still want to do. The idea of like trading, the Deacon's card for your Wally Pfister card and that sort of thing it still appeals to me, but if we actually do it, I suspect there's some sort of legality around using someone's name like that. And then this year's April Fool's joke, we decided to pull the plug on because it was and we might still use it next year, so if you see it, you'll know. But it was the whole concept was Duclos Lenses is getting into pharmaceuticals, and we're creating a a pill that lens technicians could use that would steady their hands, based on like diazepam or like muscle relaxers. And it was pretty funny, but it was right as it was April Fool's, so it was right when the whole pandemic was starting, and we didn't want to seem insensitive that we were getting into pharmaceuticals while all of that was going on. So we pulled the plug on it. But we had the graphics all made up for the bottles, and a whole fake press release for FDA testing and all that. Artesia, oh, okay, I know. Okay, that's not too far. Deacons would be the ace. It wouldn't be playing cards, Jacob. They were trading like baseball cards, basically. So it had, actually, I think it's still on our site. I think. Or maybe on the blog. Oh, yeah. There you go. You want the Rachel Morrison limited edition card. So it has like her stats and everything on the back. Her, when she was born, in Massachusetts, all that. So we had like the whole thing. We actually made cards for the thing. You could see Dean Cundy on that card right there. I can't quite make out who that is. There you go. Nancy Schreiber, Roger Deakins, the whole Maddie Lubeski. It was a whole thing that we did. But we still had people asking us, like, hey, when can I get these? And I don't think some people realized it was an April Fool's joke, but right there. Published on April 1st, 2019. If that wasn't a dead giveaway, I don't know what it is. So we might still do it someday, but it would just be a lot of... I don't know the legality on how that works. I don't know if we need to get permission from everybody. I should ask someone at like Topps or whatever. Do they need to have the people on their cards sign off on it, or I don't know. So maybe someday when I run out of other things to do. All right. This might be the last one I do on stream today. It's 1 o'clock. I'm supposed to be finishing up my garden today, but I think it's too hot, considering it's 111. which means it might just be time to hop on Call of Duty. Version 1 done. Let's see, maybe I could do one more. Is this one not getting a front ring? Nope. Because it's a 55 and we are out of 55s right now. This one's in very good shape. Focus feels excellent. Glass is pristine. Very minor brassing on the mount. Actually, that's quite a bit right there. That's a bit loose. Before I go any farther, the F2. As someone who started building a set of Leica Rs, is there a resource you could point me to for understanding the history and variations of the lenses through the decades? Yes and no. I don't know that even Leica understood the differences through the decades. They revised a lot of them over time. So for example, there are 4 versions of the 35 f2, there's 4 versions of the 35 1.4, or maybe 3. 4 versions of the 50. It's all over the place. Sometimes it was for legitimate improvements in the design. Maybe something that it was an oversight previously. Other times it was just because they knew every time they released a new lens, all the Leica fanboys would buy whatever they released. So it's not, the different versions don't always yield better results. One of the best resources, I showed it last week. but I use the actual product catalogs that Leica put out throughout their lifespan of the lenses. And that's how I sort of gather data. Yeah, so there's their actual table, all the different lenses that they made this year, or this series. So that's a fantastic resource, but I don't expect everyone to have those. I have been working on a database that lists, you know, the weight, the filter threads, as much data as I possibly can based on serial numbers. And I went into a little rant last weekend about how the only identifier that Leica used from series to series was the basically the product number, which was printed on the packaging on the boxes of the lenses, which is very handy, but it's not anywhere on the lens. So it's useless now because it's very rare to find the lens in the box. Mighty Jacks, I don't think this is... No, this one's not yours. Sorry. But it might as well be. We'll call it yours. Anyways, as I was saying for Chris, one great resource for sheer data would be a website called Pebble Place. They had a ton of specs listed for each lens, which is kind of where I started building up my database. Definitely just Google Pebble Place Leica. I think they call it the Leica R database, but that'll have a lot of really helpful info. Not so much on the history or the characteristics of them, but sheer data. I got one mint. Yeah, I think if I recall, Mighty Jacks, yours were very good condition. So, Chris, the database that I've been building for years now is similar to that database, but with a lot more information relevant to using these as cinema lenses. I just haven't published it yet because it's not complete, and I don't want to have an incomplete resource. Maybe I should just put it out there because I feel like it will never actually be fully complete. And I think Pebble Place stopped, I think they stopped updating theirs a couple of years back. Chris, I might be willing to let people see it, so yeah. I don't know that there's much beta testing involved, it's really just a giant spreadsheet. But we see so many of these Leica lenses, the Leica R's specifically, come through for mods. We cross-reference the data every time we get a lens in. So I believe outside of Leica, it should end up being the most reliable resource. For Leica R's, that is. In your opinion, how do the Leica R compare to Hasselblad Zeiss in cinema? I don't know that I've ever done a side-by-side of those two specifically. The Leica R's are definitely going to be more user-friendly for cinema than the Zeiss Hasselblad. Maybe that'll be something that I open up just to people that follow the stream early. You guys could kind of be the guinea pigs. See if it's actually useful. I was thinking about doing that also for like the poster back here, which you can't really see. Here, let me see if I can. Oh, wrong way. It's terribly wrinkled, but it's a cutaway of a Zeiss Super Speed. And people have asked before if they could have it, so I thought maybe I would do that for subscribers. Now it's out of focus. Good enough. Yeah, I might do that. I'm doing something like that. I was inspired by, I don't know if anybody else watches the Tested channel on YouTube, Adam Savage. But they have some really cool posters that they've done. So I thought about doing something similar. Someone else recommended we do an AMA, but I don't know that that makes sense because pretty much every stream is an AMA. I also don't want to overstep my bounds. You know, I'm not a streamer. I don't make a living streaming content. I'm not a content creator. I'm a lens technician. So I don't want to wear you guys out as far as gimmicky streaming stuff goes. It's a great stream. Noobs like me. Thank you very much. The more lens geeks we have in our business, the better. How much should a lens technician who works in a rental house make in a year? My friend from Germany told me they make 60k euro in one of the biggest rentals in Munich, which seems very low. That is completely dependent on your skill level. If that technician that you're mentioning is experienced and, you know, I'd say at least 5 years, I'd say that's fair. I'm not entirely sure what that translates to in US dollars, but I'll tell you that's a lot more than I made when I was at one of the biggest rental houses here in America. Yeah, that's 70,000 a year is a lot more than I made at a rental house. Can you get training to be a lens tech, some type of certification? You can be certified by lens manufacturers, especially if you're performing maintenance on that specific manufacturer's lenses. What happened here? My AirPod just died. There it goes. Yeah, you can be certified by a manufacturer for those. So, for example, I've had training and certificates. We have a whole wall for all of our technicians and their certificates. Cook, Ingenue, Leica, Zeiss, Sigma, Tokina, I mean, you name it. But that's for that specific brand, or that even down to a specific model. There's no sort of there's no school for lens technicians, in my opinion, because I get asked that so often. It really comes down to experience. So, for example, you can have someone with zero experience and they can go through Cook's certification process. That does not make them a good technician. That just means that Cook showed them how to open a lens, fix it, and then put it back together. I always thought in Hollywood salaries for jobs related to cinema would be much higher. Again, though, it depends on your experience. You know, if you've been a lens technician for 20 some odd years, then sure, you can command a higher salary, but that completely depends on your skill level, your reputation. It definitely scales with experience. That's for sure. I've been doing lenses. I've been servicing lenses since, well, I've gone into this in previous streams since I was a teenager with my father. But officially, we opened Duclos Lenses in 2002. So, oh my gosh, coming up on 20 years officially. So maybe a little over 20 years unofficially. You know, before child labor laws come into effect. But we have some technicians here that have been technicians. My father, Greg Rauman, they've been doing this for well over 30 years. Several of our technicians come from Panavision. Some of them came from rental houses. But if they didn't have prior experience, they start in our apprentice position, which we call the junior technician. And we teach them. Thank you, Max. Have an excellent day. Do you know if same junior positions open anywhere in EU, UK preferably? No, I don't. I don't know what staff situations look like right now, especially with COVID going on. But that said, you would get a much more accurate answer if you reached out to one of the companies in the UK. I would recommend, I can't speak on their behalf, but I would recommend reaching out to TLS. They're basically us in the UK. Keith and my father go way back. We're very friendly with them. So, In fact, Keith, if anybody knows about TLS, Keith is their former co-founder. He, well, I mean, he'll always be the co-founder, obviously, but he retired a couple of years ago. So Keith, when he lived here in the US, when he was working at Claremont Camera, his daughter used to babysit me and my siblings. And anytime we go to, anytime my father and I go to the UK, we generally stay with Keith. Or I should say he generally stays with Keith. So, I think Gav is, for the most part, in charge of the operation now. Gavin. But they're owned by a bigger company. They sold to Procam, I think. Something like that. So they would know what sort of technician positions are available in the UK specifically. I've heard Van Diemen broadcast was shorty. Huh? Van Diemen broadcast? I didn't even know they had a broadcast vision. That would be an okay place to start. I mean, they definitely have a lot of experience in lens housings and service. Certainly couldn't hurt. I'm sure there's a lot to be learned from Van Diemen if they had a position available. I will also reiterate that it's not, it's a pet peeve coming from my generation. Technically I qualify as a millennial, but everybody wants instant gratification. Everyone wants to be whatever they want to be instantly. But it takes time. If you want to be a lens technician, you're talking about years. You're talking about a career. It's not just a job, it's a career. What about the trading cards? You must be way behind in the stream. You might have, John, that was like an hour ago. I think your comments are a bit delayed. That's their official name. I had no idea. I've always known of them as Van Diemen. I do appreciate a properly machined 32 pitch gear. You don't get that from a 3D printed gear. Focus, Sony. Yeah, this doesn't do it justice. You can't appreciate it. But yeah. Alright, this one is not getting a front, so that is done. And that's that. Cleanup time. Yeah, reach out to TLS, Steven. Tell them Matthew Duclos sent you. I don't, like I said, I don't think they're hiring, especially with the state of the industry. But like I said, they would know if someone was. Or at least they would know better than I would for the UK. So thank you guys for watching. To check here. Oh, I will. No royalty hit, really? How is that possible? Let's look that up right now. I'm gonna test it, and if it gets blocked by YouTube, it'll be at the very end of the stream, and I won't care. Oh, because it's like super old. Sadie and Debussy. Okay, of course. I mean, you can't go wrong with Debussy. There, I just turned the monitor off, so there shouldn't be any echo at all anymore. I should just have my wife plays this on the piano. I should just record her playing it. Alright, well that settles that. Next stream is going to be all public domain content. Play German music for German lens and Japanese classical for Japanese. That's not a bad idea. Anyways, thank you guys all. Subscribe, all that goodness. And I'll let this keep playing in case you're enjoying it. But I will see you next Saturday.